Hi Uttori Zoku, this is Imari from Always Uttori. On this channel we cover food, fashion, and lifestyle. Today we're making a French cookie flight, as well as some lovely sage and lavender tea. We featured this cookie flight in our Decorate With Me French Provincial Christmas video, and now we're going to show you how to make this beautiful cookie flight for the holidays or any occasion beyond. Before we get started, if you want to know more about how we created the vignette in this video, then watch our Provincial Christmas and our Provincial Christmas DIY videos, which are linked in the description box. Our first cookie is a Pistachio Madeleine. For a long time, my go-to recipe was a classic lemon glazed Madeleine, but after trying this pistachio version, it might become my new go-to. When I first developed my lemon Madeleine recipe, I was gluten-free, so if that's a dietary concern, Madeleine tastes delicious with oat flour. You can replace the 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour with 3/4 cup oat flour and should get similar results. I'll also link the blog article that contains my lemon glazed version as well in case you're interested. First, brown the butter in a small saucepan over medium-low heat. Listen for popping sounds and cook until the popping slows and the butter has taken on a brown color and a nutty aroma. Set aside to cool. In a separate bowl, whisk together the all-purpose flour, or oat flour, the pistachio flour, and sugar. To make your own pistachio flour, grind nuts in a high-speed blender until it's fine. Now, in another large bowl, combine the lemon zest, eggs, and salt, and whisk until frothy. Whisk in the flour and sugar mixture until just combined with the egg mixture. Stir in the browned butter. Cover the bowl with plastic wrap and refrigerate until chilled, at least 2 hours or overnight. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Butter 2 12-cookie Madeleine pans. Spoon or pipe the batter into the prepared pans, filling each mold about halfway. Bake until the edges of the cake are golden brown, between 12 and 14 minutes. Remove the Madeleine from the oven and tilt them immediately out onto a cooling rack, or demold from the pan and let cool lying on the side in the Madeleine pan. While the Madeleine are cooling, melt white chocolate candy quick in a microwave-safe bowl in 15 to 20-second increments. I used white chocolate and had trouble getting it out later because I didn't temper it, so I would stick with Candy Melts or Candy Quick to do this easily. Once melted, add a few drops of green food coloring until you have your desired color. Spoon about 1 to 1 1/2 teaspoons worth into the Madeleine pan. And then immediately place a Madeleine, shell side down, into the chocolate, pressing to ensure the chocolate coats the front of the Madeleine. Complete all the Madeleines and then chill for 20 minutes in the refrigerator. Demold the Madeleine and serve. Cat's got your tongue? It just might if you're eating a langue de chat, which translates to cat's tongue. These simple butter cookies originated in 17th century France and got their name likely because of their long and thin shape, reminiscent of cat's tongues. Since then, Langues de Chat have traveled around the world, taking on regional variations and names. One of the most notable updates to the Langues de Chat is the Shiroi Koibito, or white lover cookie from Sapporo, Japan. These cookies are square-shaped rather than long and have a white chocolate filling, inspired by the snowy climate of Sapporo. Since starting production in 1976, this cookie variation has become popular across Japan and was coincidentally my first experience with the Langues de Chat cookie. So, while our lavender and seafoam holiday theme takes heavy inspiration from France, we're nothing if not global citizens, so this Langues de Chat recipe takes inspiration from its Japanese counterpart with a ganache filling. After I heated the cream and dried lavender over medium heat for about 5 minutes, I strained the cream into a heat-proof bowl filled with white chocolate. Stir until the chocolate is melted and smooth. You may need to microwave in 10-second increments to help the chocolate melt. Add in purple food coloring if you want. Line a small to medium baking sheet, one with sides, with parchment paper. Pour the ganache onto the parchment tray and let set in the fridge for 30 minutes to an hour or until firm. Meanwhile, preheat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Prepare 2 baking sheets with parchment paper and set aside. In a stand mixer, combine the butter, sugar, and lemon zest. Mix with a paddle attachment on medium speed until the butter is light and fluffy, about 5 minutes. Add the egg whites and vanilla extract, and continue mixing until combined. Turn the mix speed to low and add salt. Then add the flour in batches until it's just combined. Scrape the side of the bowl to incorporate any missed flour. Put the batter in a piping bag with a 1/2 inch round tip. Pipe 3-inch lines with enough space for the cookies to spread out about 1 inch in between. Place in the refrigerator for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, bake the cookies until golden brown, around 10 to 12 minutes. Once the cookies are done baking, let cool on the pans for 3 minutes, then use a spatula to transfer them to a wire rack to cool completely. While the cookies are cooling, remove the ganache from the fridge. Once the cookies have cooled, place one on top of the ganache. Use a knife to cut around the Langues de Chat so that the ganache filling will fit to the size of the cookie. Continue until you have 12 ganache pieces. Gently lift the ganache with a small spatula and place in between 2 Langues de Chat cookies. Gently press the cookies together until the filling is secure and the 2 cookies are connected. Store in an airtight container in a cool place for up to 2 days. Any longer and the cookies will lose crispiness. I hadn't had a sablé before making this recipe, but let me tell you, there's a reason it's one of France's most loved cookies. Created in 1670 in the town of Sablés for a party, these cookies are renowned for their buttery and crumbly texture reminiscent of sand, which is what sablé means in French. Like many a French cookie, sablés are versatile with many different flavors, decorations, and toppings. Regardless of how you make them, they pair perfectly with tea. I tasted these on the first day and thought they were a little underwhelming, but soon I found myself craving them when they weren't in front of me. It was voted the favorite by a majority of those who tried the cookie flight, and so, if you only have time to make one cookie, make these. And dare I say, they got better with time. To start, we're infusing sugar with herbs. This needs to infuse for at least 1 day. If you don't want to infuse your sugar, then regular sugar will work. To make the lavender sugar, I washed and dried fresh lavender leaves. You can use dried, culinary-grade lavender, but since I had some fresh lavender on hand, I wanted to use the lavender leaves, which are also edible unless you have an ornamental variety, which are safe to eat but don't taste good, so be careful of that. Place 1 cup of sugar into a bowl. Add lavender leaves and dried lavender blooms to the sugar. Stir and agitate to help the oils release into the sugar. Transfer into an airtight container and let infuse for 1 to 2 weeks for full flavor. You can adjust the amount of herbs based on your preference for flavor. Experiment with what you like. The sage sugar is the same process. Wash and dry fresh herbs or use dried herbs. For me, I cut up the sage leaves into small strips. Place 1 cup of sugar into a bowl. Add sage leaves to the sugar. Stir and agitate to help the oils release into the sugar. Transfer into an airtight container. Let infuse for 1 to 2 weeks for full flavor. To make the sablé, cream the butter and sugar together until pale and fluffy. I would recommend using a high-quality salted butter for this recipe, as that enhances the flavor all the more. Add 1 egg yolk and vanilla extract, then mix until combined. Add the flour and mix until combined. Wrap the dough and refrigerate for 20 minutes. At this stage, I added purple and green food dye to the infused sugar. This is optional, but adds some color to the cookies. Remove from the fridge and divide into 2 pieces. Roll each into a log shape about 1 inch in diameter and 4 inches in length. Wrap in plastic wrap or parchment paper and refrigerate for an hour or until the dough is firm enough to be cut. I actually froze my dough for 45 minutes, following another recipe's method, but after I made these, I saw another recipe that said freezing makes the dough too hard to cut without crumbling, and also makes it difficult for the sugar to stick to the outside of the cookie. 2 issues you'll see I had. So I can't recommend the freezing method, though it may be a bit quicker. Preheat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Line a baking sheet with parchment paper, then remove the cookies from the freezer. Roll 1 log and 1/4 cup of lavender sugar and the other log and 1/4 cup of sage sugar to coat the outside. If you're having difficulty getting the sugar to stick evenly, you can crack an egg open and brush the outside of the cookie with the egg white. Save the yolk for later in this recipe. Cut each log into 3/8 inch thick circles and arrange on a baking sheet. Use a fork to create a cross-hatch pattern on the top of the cookies. Whisk 1 egg yolk in a small bowl and brush the top of the cookies with the yolk. Bake for 12 to 15 minutes until golden. Let the cookies cool on the baking sheet for 5 minutes, then transfer to a cooling rack. Store in an airtight container for up to 5 days. To complete the cookie flight, we're making a sage and lavender tea. The tea tastes herbal with a hint of minty flavor. Sage is a part of the mint family, and brewed lavender can take on a rosemary or mint-like taste. To make the tea, boil water. Thoroughly wash and dry fresh herbs if using. Let the herbs steep in the hot water for up to 15 minutes depending on how strong you want the flavor. Strain and serve. Serve the tea with the leftover infused sugar. To fit with the French provincial theme, we served the sugar in rustic bowls with bird toppers. You can also prepare some dried lavender as well as dried citrus like oranges or lemons. We served ours in a thrifted silver bowl. If you want to know more about how we created this table setting, then be sure to check out our corresponding vignette and DIY videos, all centered around lavender and seafoam colors with a French provincial style. To serve the cookies, we put them in gold cloches we got from TJ Maxx, and then brought out the rest of the cookies on a silver platter. Let your guests fix their tea with everything you set out. The tea is perfect for dipping cookies in or for just sipping alongside the cookies. I thought using the infused sugar was extra fun because it also dyed the teas different colors depending on which one you picked. It was a great surprise for those I shared this cookie flight with. Up next is our Christmas frost theme, where we will be sharing decor and food ideas inspired by the colors smoked gray and iced vanilla. I hope you will join us for our next theme, and as always, enchantment awaits. Life is just about finding it.